All right, hi, here we are again. Same bar, haven't been thrown out yet. uh, we are going to continue with the Singapore based independent bottler called Malt, Grain and Cane, which, as you recall from my relatively short three bottle introduction of the Four Squares that they put out, they have some other bottlings as well, and I'm going to go through them one by one because I just got a crap load of samples that I was able to do. And since I haven't heard of this bottler before and I don't know how good they are at selecting their stuff, I thought I'd give it a shot. This one now today, we are looking at yet another Barbados rum. And I thought initially, given the lack of information on the front label, that it might be word, but it's not. It's Mount Gay. It's a year 2000, 22-year-old pure single rum. Ex-bourbon, 244 bottles, 6 years tropical aging, 16 years continental, no fancy finishes, no cognac, no Porto, no whatever. It's bottled at a relatively tame 51.9%. If you recall, when I was talking about Malt, Grain and Cane, I mentioned that the gentleman who founded the brand in 2020, he liked to partner up quite a bit with local artists, with local bars and so on. This is something of a collaborative bottling, this one here. And if you were to look at the back label, it would say that it's part and parcel of Rum and Whiskey Kyoto, Rudder Limited, The Ultimate Spirits, Miles Whiskey Bar, D Bespoke, Bar Lamp. I mean, the guy gets around. These are bars that are not here. And what's nice about it, of course, is that each of these bars gets an allocation of the amount of bottles that have been issued, which is 234. But it doesn't make anybody else to try and get any bit of a problem. But at least we can get some publicity out for some very interesting rum. And this really is. It's not just interesting. It's very, very good. It was pretty much all in ex-bourbon barrels the entire time. And the artwork should come in for mention. You notice the purple. This is an artist called Russell Wong. And in this particular instance, his photography work here, apparently he was one of the first Asian photographers to get into Hollywood as a photographer and as a visual artist. And he was contracted to do the label on this, and then the purple was added probably by the Hampton Parrot or the founder. And it is a color called Q Murasaki, as from my notes say, which is like a regal purple, sort of like the imperial purple of Roman times, if you will. There's all sorts of stuff on the back label as to the meaning of the photograph on the label, which is, to me, is a very beautiful black and white forest glade kind of photograph, but seems kind of lonely too. But they go into some depth in there as to what it means, and I'm not going to bore you with more of that. The important thing is a 22-year-old Mount Gay, which we don't see very often, done by an independent bottler from a single barrel, worth whatever it is that this thing costs. And by the way, I have no clue, right? So I must say, I must give kudos to my old friend Marco Freire, who is one of the, in a surprising twist, shares my birthday. Marco was the guy who, when he came to my apartment in Berlin all those years ago, educated me on how to tell the difference between the four Barbados distilleries. And I've never forgotten the lesson he taught me. And I wanted to say thanks, but the thing is, you can tell this is not a Four Square. This is a Mount Gay. Is it a pot still? Is it a column still? Really not sure. My money is on column, but 22 years is going to be 22 years no matter what. So, man, this is nice. This is nice. It is deep. It is thick. It is oily. And that's just the nose. Right away you get all the standard stuff that you would normally get from aging in an ex-bourbon barrel, right? You get vanilla, you get blancmange, you get toffee, vanilla, caramel, that kind of thing. That's more like ticking the boxes, though. It's the stuff that comes over and beyond that. Which is interesting. That's what elevates this above the merely ordinary. There's a certain loaminess, a dirtiness to it, rather than something that is, sharply fruity. That Four Squares sometimes has a little bit more of, like the three that we tried the last time. There's some lemon zest, there's some honey, baking spices, fresh bread, croissants right out of the oven. I mean, I have good memories of a lot of places where I've tried fresh bread. Europe is really good for that. Definitely, you're getting some of that. But there is also some dark honey, some glue, and just a shade of citrus line running through the whole thing to stop it from just being too mellow and too dark and too soft. Much of what you smelled has just come through on the taste as well. It's a bit sharpish, which is okay. It's 51.9%. You're not going to expect too much, but it's a bit sharp. It retains that loaminess, that earthiness, that mellow, dark thing. I tend to see a dark blue, dark purple when I taste this rum. I have this weird thing about colors and tastes, right? But what I'm tasting mostly is honey, dark fruits, blackberry, prunes, prune juice, that kind of thing, with a leavening of lighter stone fruit, such as apricots or pears or whatever, as well as a little bit of watery stuff like papayas, for example, or watermelon. All playing together really, really nicely. This is one of these cases where, unlike some that I've spoken about before, it isn't like you have one coming, then the other, then the other. No, no. These are all kind of circling around the maypole all at the same time. And, maybe one might jump out one and do a dance for you, and then it recedes, and then the next one comes out there. It's great. Yeah, you still get a bit of that glue, that acetones, the floor polish and the varnish and so on, but it's mostly a bit more like a tang rather than a deep underlying flavor, and I really do like that. The citrus continues to make its appearance felt. There's a little bit of tartness of sour kimchi in there somewhere, and maybe a gherkin or two, but overall, it's a good selection. I mean, I don't know how much this thing costs, but wow, it's good. All right. I do like it. It is 22 years old, which is always good when, most of the Mount Gay stuff is either blends or single barrels or something that is in the 10 to 20-year-old range. So something that goes beyond that is always interesting. I would say, on balance, I would score this about 86 or 87 points. It's really kind of worth it. It's a nice rum. It's really, really quite nice to taste. It can be had neat. I suppose you could put it in a mix, although why surpasses my understanding. I don't think I would, unless it's a really high-end kind of drink that is going to cost you like $100 a shot or a glass or whatever it is, but whatever. Like I said, 86, 87 points. It is a Mount Gay rum that has been aged partially, and I think that to some extent does enhance it quite a bit. It's a rum that I wouldn't mind having in my collection. Probably is out of my range, but at the same time, I think anybody in Asia who finds it is probably not going to be disappointed at all, especially if they like Barbadian rums, or in this case, a pure single rum, right? Not a pot column still distillate. So that's it for this one, and we'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see what's next on the queue. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.